Well, howdy, everybody. Happy Wednesday. I'm Meteorologist Berkeley Taylor joining you for your Facebook forecast today. We're going to talk all things winter weather across the state, obviously focusing on the Brazos Valley, what we expect through your Thursday, and then we'll get a look ahead at when all of this mess will clear out and when temperatures will start to warm up. We'll talk about all of that nice and quick, and then you guys can head over to Channel 3, check out Chief Meteorologist Max Crawford's full forecast there. As you join, if you want to leave any comments, let me know where you're watching from, or of course, if you have any questions about the forecast, I'm happy to answer those for you as well. Okay, so let's jump into it. Let's talk. We're going to kind of go in order here through, starting with temperatures tonight. Many of us will stay right around, if not just above freezing. That's kind of the story for the central and southernmost counties, but even then it's still low 30s. So it's still a really cool night. And, but in this case, a degree or two really makes all the difference. So for our northern counties, looks like you will likely wake up below freezing, low 30s, upper 20s possible for places like Centerville and Crockett. All of us are well below average. All of us are really cool, and it will likely feel even colder than what these temperatures show you. Now, tomorrow through the afternoon, we're able to probably heat up into the upper 30s at best because cloud cover and rainfall will stay with us all day long. Keeps it nice and chilly and a little bit miserable out there tomorrow. Part of the reason that Thursday, tomorrow, is the first alert weather day because we are watching for the potential for some winter weather really all across the state, but we are eyeing our northernmost counties to potentially see some frozen rain, some sleet, maybe a few flurries, but the chances are very, very low. And the possibility of accumulation are even lower than that because even if we see temperatures dip below freezing at surface level on our grasses and on our main surface streets, likely going to see temperatures ranging from 35 degrees to 42 degrees. So well above freezing to where if anything does hit that frozen, it will melt. So not overly concerned about that, but still, regardless of the type of precipitation that falls, we'll see rain and we'll see really cold temperatures. So it will still be a little bit of a mess out there. Still asking you to exercise caution if you are hitting the roads. Your commute to and from work on Thursday and then again back to work on Friday morning, going to be a little bit messy. So giving yourself some extra time is always a good idea. But across the state, a different picture, especially for really the northeastern pocket of the state. That's where we've got a couple different warnings in effect. So overall, the purple you see across the big country up in the Panhandle, West Texas, is our winter weather advisories, monitoring the chance to see some winter precipitation, but where we expect the biggest impacts, everywhere you see pink. That's a winter storm warning where all the conditions are set up to produce a significant amount of snow, freezing rain, sleet that will likely cause some pretty significant impacts to that area. So a general look across the state, snow, wintry mix, cold rain, kind of breaking down and warming things up as you build to the south and east. So for us, we are watching for cold, liquid rain to fall for pretty much all of the Brazos Valley. Somebody asked, will there be ice or snow in Bryan? No. Will schools be canceled? That is not my call. However, I anticipate that schools will be open. But we also have a list of closings up on KBTX.com. So if anything does change, that is, you can find that online and also we'll air it. But I do not anticipate that roads will be impacted enough to where schools will need to be canceled or even bus schedules will need to be shifted because mostly it will be cold, liquid rain and really going to start to fill in. I'll show you the setup here actually before we jump to impacts to tell you the reason why it's looking even less likely that we see any winter precipitation. So we have kind of two different forces working to bring us rain and the rest of the state winter precipitation. So two areas of low pressure. One off to our west is in the upper levels of the atmosphere, still an area of low pressure. That's going to work in toward the Panhandle tomorrow. But then we've got an area of coastal low pressure closer to the surface. That's going to bring us all the moisture that we use as fuel for the rain. And right now it has slowed down pretty significantly to where it's not really pushing the moisture in that we would need to fuel rain or that we would need to fuel winter precipitation until later in the afternoon, which means the rain moves in once the temperatures are well above freezing across the area. So the ingredients just don't line up for us to get winter precipitation for the most part. So I'm just not seeing a world where it impacts Hearn, snow. No, I don't anticipate really any. I'll show you forecast radar here in a second too, and we'll walk through all of that. But the short answer is no. Okay, so here goes that low, and notice all the greens and the darker yellows even showing up in our neck of the woods across southeast Texas. That's really because we don't expect freezing precipitation in our area, but different story off to our northwest and northeast. As this system clears out to the east, we just see more liquid rain likely. So we'll be watching for our northern counties. I'll show you a closer look at our neck of the woods here. So starting to see rain fill in as early as sunrise tomorrow. A pretty light rain, and notice off to our north and west, again, it's a different story. So if you have travel plans, I know maybe some of us are headed to the Cotton Bowl, know that roads will absolutely be impacted across DFW along and northwest of I-35 through the day tomorrow, and then as you build out east through the day, also going to be really, really messy. And we'll talk about impacts here in a second, but our focus here in the Brazos Valley. You're going to see mostly greens and yellows all across our area because the conditions, again, the ingredients just don't line up for us to get the winter precipitation. It's just going to be too warm at surface levels where even if we do see freezing precipitation fall, which is unlikely, it's going to be too warm at the surface for that to stick and certainly to accumulate to impact us. So heavy rain, though, expected throughout the afternoon into the evening, and then that won't clear out until closer to sunrise Friday morning. So it's still going to be a cold and messy day regardless of the type of precip. But again, winter impacts not very likely in our neck of the woods. And I'll show you, the National Weather Service actually has a scale for the severity of impacts from winter weather. Just give this a second to load. And this will give you a good idea. So all across the state, all across the northern half of the state, impacts from winter weather are expected. It will be a messy situation for a lot of our friends off to the north. So if we zoom in right now, looks like the biggest impacts, especially in terms of ice, which we know is really a troublemaker in terms of travel and roadways, are expected across northeast Texas. So right around Tyler. That's where you see all the purple. That's the highest end of the scale, extreme impacts where daily life will be largely disrupted. Travel is highly discouraged, and all the reds, major impacts, same kind of story there, where it's just the ice that really makes things dangerous. So if you have any family or friends up in that area, check on them for sure. JB says, I hope it's not another 2021. It will not be another 2021. We're not expecting impacts like that at all in the Brazos Valley. So that's the good news here, and it will stay much warmer than it was in 2021. Okay. Then we look at Brazos Valley. The only place across the Brazos Valley right now that the National Weather Service has even mentioned is up in Houston County near Crockett with limited impacts expected. But even then, we're just talking really, the only impacts we're really concerned about, if any at all, will be with elevated roadways. So bridges and overpasses where they kind of get cooled from both sides because they're not at the surface. That will make it easier for them to cool more quickly, where there could be some slick spots. Oops, sorry. So that's something we will watch for. But overall, kind of just giving you the picture. We can look at soil temperatures and the forecast for soil temperatures. Right now, it looks like those are going to stay well above freezing. So 36 to 40, 42 degrees is really what we expect at the surface level. Elevated roads, again, those could cool from both sides, which make them more susceptible to cooling below freezing. Even then, it's more of a problem off to our north. So, yeah. Brian says, nowhere close to 2021. You're absolutely right. Nowhere close. And also, I just want to take a second to say there is no reason to panic. This is not, for many of you, you're not even going to notice. It's just going to be cold and rainy. That's really what we are talking about here. The only reason it's a first alert weather day is because across the state, they are going to see some winter precipitation, and it's still going to be messy on the roadways from the liquid rain that falls, and it will still be cold. So still keeping your winter preps in place, wrapping up your pipes, be sure your pets and your plants have a warm place inside, check in on your neighbors. We also have a list on KBTX.com of some warming shelters that are open if you need a warm place to stay. Those are available in a couple different spots across the Brazos Valley. So just to keep you safe, because it will be cold. It won't be near as cold as 2021, and the impacts will not be even close. So that's obviously all good news. So hoping everyone can stay nice and warm and safe. That's the picture. So there's no reason to panic. And in fact, most of us are just going to see rain. which is needed rain. So that's actually a plus. We're still dealing with drought conditions. So looking at the positive side of this, although it will be cold and a little bit icky outside, we need the rain. So that's good. Okay, so I'm going to show you forecast radar one more time, and then we'll kind of look ahead after that. And then if anyone has any more questions, feel free to leave them. So here's the story. Freezing precipitation, snow, sleet, freezing rain expected across the state of Texas, across North Texas and out toward West Texas. So that's why you'll see pinks, purples, blues popping up off to our north. However, all the greens and yellows filling in across our 16 counties, liquid rain and heavy rain at times. So here's the picture. We walk through the day. All of the freezing precipitation looks to stay out of our area. We are warming up above freezing before that rain arrives, which makes it nearly impossible for us to see freezing precipitation. Then it clears off. We'll be watching Friday morning, more particularly for potential for some elevated surfaces to have some slick spots as temperatures drop back down, and maybe we have some puddles left over. But the impacts will be very limited here, and we're really just eyeing Milam, Robertson, Leon, Houston, Trinity counties for any type of impacts to travel. But overall, you shouldn't have any trouble beyond what we normally see when it rains here on the roads. So how much rain? 1/2 inch to 1.5 inches. Isolated totals could be closer to 2 inches, so we'll monitor for normal trouble spots with some flooding. But again, along with that, also not overly concerned about it. So we talk about the next couple of days. Today, cloudy. That's kind of the first signal of moisture returning. Thursday, tomorrow, that's the first alert weather day because that's when we expect the rain to roll in and stick with us through most of the day. And it will be cool around the clock because of the thick cloud cover and the rain, though winter impacts will be limited, if at all, impacting the Brazos Valley. Friday, through the front half, really through about sunrise, we see heavy rain still. That clears out. Some lingering showers are possible through lunchtime. Then through the back end of Friday, rain clears out. Winds move in. It'll be breezy on Friday. Wind still out of the north, so likely going to see a wind chill move back into the forecast. Wake up in the mid to lower 30s, top out in the mid to lower 40s. Likely feels colder than that, though. So Friday, although the rain clears out, it's still a really cold day all across the state of Texas. Okay, let's look at the extended forecast real quick, and then I'll wrap things up and send you on your way. Okay, here's the extended forecast. Tomorrow really is the busiest day that we've got on the forecast. Front half of the day, the 60% chance of rain on Fridays for really before noon. Heavy rain still in the morning, clearing out by lunchtime. And then notice the weekend, rain clears out, sunshine returns. That allows us to heat things back up into the 50s by each afternoon, and then we work toward the next work week. Things are still looking below average, but mid to upper 30s for the morning lows, mid to upper 50s for afternoon highs. So closer to seasonable. We typically are seeing lows in the lower 40s and highs in the lower 60s right now. So we're cooler than that. Actually does feel like winter right now. But you look toward the back end of the extended forecast, things look to warm back up. So if you're not a fan of the cold weather, just hold on a little bit longer. In typical Texas fashion, we'll be heating things right back up before you know it. So that's the picture for your extended forecast. That's going to do it for your Facebook forecast as well. So we are about to wrap up live at 5. We've got News 3 at 6 tonight. It will only be 30 minutes because the Pulse will air right after that, but we've got 30 minutes to check in on Chief Meteorologist Max Crawford's full forecast, or as always, 24/7 on KBTX.com. We've got a forecast and a detailed article on the winter weather across the state and across the Brazos Valley that you can check in on. Okay, if there are no more questions, I'm going to leave you with the extended forecast. Hope you have a lovely rest of your Wednesday and you stay nice and warm and safe through the rest of your work week.